Over the past decade or so, those of us who are online coaches, consultants, authors, and experts have been sold this lifestyle by marketing gurus and influencers that tells us if we just build one funnel or we have an amazing launch, then having six figures or living on an island is like autopilot. But as someone who has eaten that marketing guru advice and chased the shiny objects and invested hundreds of thousands of my own dollars into trying to figure out this whole formula for being able to do work that we love, make an impact, but also have the sort of lifestyle freedom and flexibility that we want, I am recording this video today because after a decade of trial and error, I am fresh off of the plane. I just spent 3 months traveling the world with my husband, and I finally made consistent 100K months while doing that. And this travel was a combination of business. We started in New York City, where our logo was put up in Times Square. We stayed with some family on the East Coast after that. Then we popped over to Wisconsin to see my hometown, and we went on a big old RV family adventure to Banff, Canada. And then we've been bouncing around the world. We went to Mexico and the country of Colombia. We spent some time in Cartagena and Medellin and San Andres Island. And then we wrapped up our Q2 in California, adventuring all over that state. But the thing that was different this year is that I wasn't on vacation. I wasn't trying to run away from my business, and I also didn't run out of money, which has happened every other time I have tried to achieve this sort of business life opportunity where we can be in the world and we can be with our families and we can have these epic experiences like speaking on stages or having our name in lights. But every other time I have tried to do this over the last 7 years, I have burnt out either in adrenal fatigue or cash. My name is Hannah. I'm the CEO of Dream Life Consulting, where we help coaches, consultants, and experts build a sustainable client acquisition system. And that was really my missing piece. I had tried all of the webinars, all of the launching. I even at one point paid a speaking coach $10,000. And while I was thinking about this video and like what changed for me, I did recall that first conversation that I had with my speaking coach. This must have been about 2017 that I hired this woman. I had heard her on a podcast back in the day when getting on podcasts could get you clients. And I booked a sales call with her, and I was explaining to her the dream business model I've always had. That yes, I can charge high ticket, I can get paid for my gifts, I can work one to many. And that's why speaking was attractive at the time, and why I liked her offer back then is because she was talking about this one to many model that would come from getting speaking gigs. And I remember telling her, okay, my vision is to have this one to many thing and then take 3 to 6 months of the year off to travel and build schools and philanthropy and these other things that I wanted to do. And she told me, even on the sales call, that's not really how businesses work. I have never seen a business that can afford to take months or even weeks at a time completely off the grid. And the manifesting generator, Sagittarius energy in me was like, oh, well, I'll show you. So I did end up working with that woman. I paid $10,000 to get a speaking coach. I got 2 speaking gigs and adrenal fatigue. No clients, no momentum, a couple of cute headshots thanks to those speaking gigs. But back then in 2017, I was stuck in this feast and famine where I did have to show up live to those speaking gigs. Or I was also building funnels and click funnels, just like trying to build this kind of like passive lead generation thing. Although speaking is definitely not passive, but I thought I could be passionate about it. And maybe this would help me fulfill my life's purpose of, teaching people the dream life principles. But back then, the version of travel looked like adrenal fatigue, standing on stages, not getting any clients, and running out of money. So then I also tried hosting retreats so that I could stay on the road, and I did some speaking gigs in Guatemala and Mexico, and I even wrote a book around this time because, again, I was just like on airplanes and buses and just like Although it looked like I was living the dream and I was traveling, the only question in the back of my mind was always, where is my next dollar coming from? I didn't have a system. I just had a whole bunch of plans and ideas, but no guarantee of actually converting clients, actually paying myself. So this meant that even though I was traveling the world in 2017 and making cute Instagram posts, I wasn't running a real business. So I want to be brutally honest today about what I've learned about traveling or taking time off of my business over the last decade or so, because I know so many coaches value their family time, value their energy, value bathrobes and spa time. And that's all good and fine. So do I. But I had to finally find a way to do it that didn't keep burning me out and having me in these feast and famine months where I'd have a big 30K month and then I wouldn't have another client for 3 to 6 months because the strategies run out and so does my energy. Because for a while, I did give up on the dream that I could have it all. And I got a home base and I committed to consistency and just hitting the sidewalk and sending emails every single week and being consistent with a social media manager and hosting webinars and trying to come up with more freebies and more stuff that I could make in Canva and go hand out in DMs or go blast on Instagram, because I wanted to help people. I wanted to get this mission out there and I wanted it to pay me. So I feel like I have tried all of the marketing strategies out there. In fact, I've recorded a whole 50-minute video that walks you through all of the marketing strategies I've tried and shows you exactly what we're using right now to be hitting those consistent 100K months. But today's video is for the coach who wants to have it all and maybe even has vacations planned, and you know somewhere that being offline is actually even more anxiety ridden than being at your computer and trying to do stuff. Even last summer, I remember going home feeling so much anxiety about not being consistent in the business. And it wasn't because I didn't have a good personal brand. It wasn't because I didn't have clients. I had clients, I had brand, but I was still building my client acquisition system. And so even a year ago, I did not know exactly where my next client was going to come from, because I feel like no one else is actually showing us as coaches and purpose and mission driven people how to actually build a sustainable business. They just tell us more emails, more webinars, more shiny objects. Oh, now chase the algorithm. And it is a night and day difference now, because I am able to be in the world, but bring the business with me. And I finally feel like that cliche shift where the business doesn't run me, I run the business. And there are two key shifts that I now have the gift of hindsight to help me identify, and I want to share with you today. Because most coaches know just posting more content or running more ads or finding more stages to get a microphone on isn't a sustainable method. We are all burning out on those old strategies. Podcasts are not bringing us clients anymore, but we also know that the demand for our work and the need for our wisdom and our purpose to get in the world is needed now more than ever. So there is both the yin and the yang when it comes to how I solve this. There's the spirit side, which is all about identity. And coaches are so good at that. So I'm going to speak on that first, and then we'll get into the science, the strategy, and this is about systems. And they go together. So first and foremost, let's talk about the identity that I needed to bring with me on the road this time to not run out of money, to not gain 10 pounds like my husband did, to not get adrenal fatigue like I did when I was speaking, and to also not go invest 75K more into masterminds and podcasts and shiny objects that I have found just don't work for coaches and consultants in 2025. That identity was that of a CEO. And I talk about this in so many of our other videos. Again, there's a full video walkthrough linked below. It's about 50 minutes that you can check out, where I show you mostly the system. But I also talk about this identity shift. With the gift of hindsight, what I've realized is that as a coach, I was very vulnerable to that marketing dharma, to that next ad that was going to tell me, okay, now you need a website, or whatever, thing I got tricked by in 2017. And coaches are susceptible to those shiny objects because they aren't thinking about a real business. Here's what I mean. I often see the coaches that we work with like Barbies because they have so many outfits and tools and toys in their Barbie box. They could be Malibu Beach Barbie, or they have like a hypnosis element to their program. They could be the cheerleader Barbie. They could wear a lawyer outfit as a Barbie. We have all of these toys, right? Like hypnosis, or like a course, or like being able to speak, or maybe you have this book. And so what coaches do is we just think, okay, let me just keep trying different outfits, okay? Let me tell them about my new book. Let me tell them about my speaking. Let me invite them to their webinar. And we just keep pulling things out of our Barbie box and throwing it on to the internet like spaghetti, hoping someone thinks we're the cute enough Barbie to come over and give us a credit card. But all that ends up doing to us as coaches is positioning us like commodities. A Barbie is a commodity because it's on the shelf next to all the other Barbies. Just like I see thousands of coaches on LinkedIn every single week looking exactly the same. But they're trying to sell things like, I'll do one-on-ones, or I have a resume rewrite, or look at my new quiz. And again, then I can look as a consumer and just compare you like a Barbie. And this is where coaches start to feel like nobody sees my value. The market is too saturated. If I get out of my referral network, I have a hard time getting people to get it. That's because when a consumer who isn't in the backyard playing Barbies with your friends, okay, that's a referral. That's your friend in the backyard that's like, oh my God, she's the best Barbie, you should hire her. And then they end up doing the marketing for you. So most coaches just get referral conversations that are like, okay, yeah, I want to work with you because your friend told me in the backyard you're the best Barbie. And then we go on and we just keep acting like this commodity, and we're constantly churning clients and having to get more referrals, or maybe we got to go back to BNI or have some other social media breakfast. These are things I used to do too, just to like keep getting more friends in the backyard, go tell them I'm a good Barbie. And then, okay, Barbie can get paid because these referral conversations are happening in the backyard. But again, I burnt out on that in-person hustle referral thing. And so I wanted to start positioning myself. I wanted new people to see me and understand my value. So because I'm just like you guys, I was a coach Barbie too. I was like, okay, here's my open house. Here's my one-on-one. Let me host a retreat. Let me keep trying all these different things to see if you like me as a Barbie. But that's how a coach thinks. And we don't want to position you as a commodity because, again, then you're comparable and you're susceptible to people nickeling and diming you. So instead, we have to get out of that matrix. We have to get out of that box and stop thinking like a little Barbie or a little coach, but start thinking like a CEO, a business owner. And business owners are not susceptible to the next launch strategy because they know just a quick cash injection or getting a couple clients in the door is not going to solve their problem long term. CEOs think about systems. And so I had this transformation over the last couple of years. Again, check out the other videos here where I talk about my own metamorphosis from coach to CEO. But taking this new CEO identity onto the road was a real experiment for me. And even just being away from my home base for 3 months, I knew I was going to have to bring my identity, because identity is what actually fuels our habits, our decisions, the way we show up, what we decide to do when our alarm goes off, right? It's very hard to just willpower your way through every decision to be like, okay, I'm going to show up and think about systems just because I'm efforting my way there. But because of identity, I knew I was going on the road as a CEO. And so I did set some intentions for myself, and I asked myself, and I even did research here on YouTube University, like, how do other 7-figure CEOs travel or take their business with them? because I knew I was traveling all of Q2. And thanks to that speaking coach and my own lived experience, I have learned that if you set down a business for 3 months, it is much harder to come back to, right? You lose all of your momentum, your leads have gone dry, you don't feel like doing it. You know, how hard is it to get back to the office after a vacation? Well, if that's going to go on for 3 months, I knew I did not want to self-sabotage myself and just completely let this business sleep for Q2. So I got out ahead of it and I started studying, how would a CEO do this? And even on the energy side of things, I made some standard operating procedures, SOPs, for myself. We had been building them in the business. I'm going to teach you those systems after I finish this identity topic. But systems and SOPs saved our business. And so I started applying those in my personal life as well, all the way down to how often I get the blonde highlights put into my hair. And I also made a commitment to myself that this identity, the CEO version of myself, knows she needs to move her body every single day. And so I had some of those SOPs, standard operating procedures, with me, literally in my notes app. And when it came down to, it was like month 2, we were in Cartagena, Colombia. There was a heat wave. We had been traveling for 7 weeks and I was exhausted. But I had made this commitment to myself to move my body every day. And so this is when I started to think, well, what would a CEO do if it's literally dangerous to go outside? I don't have a gym membership. Well, I have the floor and myself. And I started doing 50 push-ups before my showers. Now, I was actually taking a lot of showers at the time because there was a heat wave. So it is just 1 shower per day and 50 push-ups per day. And it has become part of my identity, part of the habits that I do. Just like you wake up and you know you're going to brush your teeth every day because that's what you do as a human and that's going to make you feel better and you like the outcome. It's not always fun to rub your teeth and spit crap into the sink. Just like it's not fun to do push-ups while the shower is getting turned on, but I like the results. And coaches, you know this. This is just like a little silly personal agreement I didn't even want to share with you. My business partner was like, tell them about your push-ups. That's a good example. There are so many examples I could share with you, but that's just one commitment that my new identity made. And again, coaches, you know this because you help other people make identity and lifestyle changes. So this is not about doing more. This is about doing the things that guarantee results, okay? Getting blonde in my hair, guaranteed up level for my energy every single time. Even my business partner loves it when I get my hair done. These are not the things you need to do exactly, but these are the examples. Just like if I move my body and bare minimum do 50 push-ups per day, I feel my best. I have that inner self-esteem. Self-esteem comes from keeping commitments to ourselves. We know this as coaches. And so if I was going to be a CEO and maintain the kind of momentum that I had been feeling while I was at my home base, I wanted to bring these agreements. So the problem with thinking and being and identifying as a coach is that you are susceptible to all of those shiny objects because they're fed to you and the algorithm just keeps sending you more. And for me personally, I was just so sick of being everything. Okay, so now I have to start a podcast, or now I have to do a launch and build a program and worry about robots taking over everything. And so when you're in that place of identity, that means you are the product, you are the face of your brand, you are the operations and the finance. Like, that is a heavy load to carry. You think you're being a coach, but you're actually carrying a heavy weight of other things that you did not sign up to do when you got your coaching certification or when you went through your own healing journey and decided, I want to do this. I want to help other people do this too. That's where most coaches start, right? So the identity I was carrying as a coach was a lot of resentment and heavy baggage, feeling like I have to do so much just to keep this thing kind of alive with no guarantee of results. And this is when I had a mentor see something bigger in me, like that Barbie box. They were like, okay, Hannah, you're throwing out webinars and open houses and more content, but I'm looking at your testimonials and I see how many referrals you're getting. And I see something much bigger that you are not positioning yourself with. And so they asked me, do you want to build something bigger than you and stop this adrenal fatigue, burnout, feast and famine cycle that you've been on? And at that time, he helped me see that my only option was to get off of the coaching hamster wheel and go build a real business. And that does mean building something bigger than me, which at the time was like, holy heck, yes. Okay, if it doesn't have to rely on my energy, let's do it. Get me out of the bottleneck in every single department. I'm all in on that. This is when I had to start thinking like a CEO, and these ideas started coming to me about not just chasing the next shiny object, but building something that was almost like a scientific method. Okay, I wanted a hypothesis, not just spaghetti to throw at the wall. And so we started building ways that we could actually get real people in front of us and get their feedback instead of just waiting for them to not show up to my next webinar. And so we really did build what I'm going to teach you and what's linked below in the video from the ground up using the scientific process, which is have a hypothesis, take it to the market, see if it works. And I've learned that marketing is just about figuring out what works and then amplifying it. Before, I was just testing a different thing every day with a different post and a different podcast interview and a different email that like hopefully they think is cute or inspiring enough. But instead, I started using the same messaging, but taking it to new people. And I don't mean running ads, and I don't mean more networking, and I don't mean booking coffee discovery chats. I mean actually having a system that brings us 700 to 900 new targeted and qualified leads every single week. So now I'm not just thinking about where is the next dollar coming from, because we're making consistent 100K months by enrolling 10 to 12 new clients every single month, because these systems are humming for me. So the system also helps with my identity. There's kind of like a feedback loop here where systems and identity work together, because now the system helps me see that I am in the seat of a CEO. I can literally pull up my software and see that we have hundreds of people applying to work with us every single month. Whereas in the past, I would open up my email and be like, did anyone register for my webinar? Did anyone open my email? There was no real way to really track where people were, if it was working. I was just in this echo chamber of like, I'm following the content creation strategy, but nobody's coming to my door with a credit card to start working with me. So the homework here is to sit down and make a T chart. I have all of our clients do this in the first week of working with us. A T chart where on one side you list what as a coach are you doing right now. Okay, this is probably chasing marketing shiny objects. This is probably following up with leads manually and wondering why they stopped emailing you back in the summer. This is probably booking one-on-ones and telling clients, just text me if you need me, I'm gonna be at the beach. Okay, write down what you're doing right now. Like, how are you operating your business as a coach right now? And then on the other side of that T chart, outline how would a CEO think? And like I told you, on the personal and the energetic and the health side of things, I did YouTube University research, just like you're doing watching this video right now. And so I'll tell you, one of those line items on the CEO side of the T chart is that they think about systems. They also think about building something that can live beyond them, like a legacy, and that also means that they're not reliant on them on the day-to-day. CEO, Chief Executive Officer, if you look at how corporate uses the phrase, also means that you're thinking about building team and having other people help you in the business. But we don't want to go delegate to another social media manager to go do stuff that's not working for us. This is why on my side of the CEO T chart, I have commission-based team members who only get paid when we actually have money coming in the door. This was another thing I was doing wrong as a coach. That identity was just like, okay, hire people, delegate, hope. Okay, on the coach side of the T chart is a whole lot of hope, and hope is not a strategy. So on that CEO side, let's dive into the systems that are working for me and dozens of our clients to keep seeing consistent clients coming in. And this works if you just want to get to 10K per month, and it's the same exact thing that has gotten us to consistent 100K months. And the full system, again, is linked below. Go watch that video. Because when I started to think about systems, now that I had the identity of a CEO, when I started to think about systems, I knew that what I had tried in the past, I wasn't willing to do again. I literally had a rubric that I showed my business partner where I was like, I know launching is a bad idea. I know webinars do not get enough people or traction, and I'm not willing to run ads to any of that stuff because I don't know if it's going to work yet. And I've put ads in the machine before just to learn it doesn't work. So I wanted something proven, something consistent, something that I could rinse and repeat before amplifying it with ad spend or VAs or more content being poured on top of it. One of our other clients, Ricky, had a similar rubric or a similar desire. And he said that after working with us, our system feels like a radio dial where you can turn it up when you're ready for more clients and you can turn it down. You know, Ricky, for example, his dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer while we were working together. So unfortunately, he did have to turn down the dial for a couple of months to be with family. That wasn't travel, but that was lifing. And whether you decide to travel or you have a family or you're just a human, life is going to keep lifing, right? We have clients in the program who have full-time jobs, kids with disabilities, are going through divorces, and this program and this system still works for them because this isn't about hurry up and work a whole lot, and just, again, a launch would be like, just hurry up and put a whole bunch of stuff out there and hopefully we can make 6 figures overnight. No, I wanted something that I could show up to consistently, that was humming in the background of my life, that I could rely on. And so I had to be, as a CEO, I had to be way less selfish. And this might be hard to hear. I had to be way less selfish because I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I had a copywriting agency for 2 years. I like writing posts. I like putting out inspirational emails. But that was what I wanted to do, not what the market needed me to do. So after 7 years of trying all of the common coaching strategies to get clients and trying to sell the way that I wanted to sell, just post cute content the way I want to, just only work with people who get it because they were referrals in the backyard, or only be in integrity. So that would mean I would change my offer for every single person because I thought I was staying in integrity. I was doing a lot of selfish things. So I decided I was going to do something selfless and put myself through market research calls, which meant putting my butt in the seat and listening to 10 coaches tell me what they needed in their business. And as I listened, this is also when I really realized I had been being totally selfish, only saying I'm going to sell branding or only saying I'm going to sell copywriting. And so when I decided to listen to the market, I started to build what we now call an easy yes offer because it was so easy to sell and it was so easy to make $60,000 on in our first month of doing these market research calls. So what I learned in this process was that coaches all had the same problems as me and no one else was building this solution. And this is also why I record these videos, because I know there's no one else that looks like me with a system like this, guaranteeing coaches and consultants and experts results. And so I got all this data from the industry and I was like, they all have the same problems as me. Let's go to work fixing it. And this is when I partnered with my business partner, Ore, to build our CEO system and literally create the software that gets coaches the type of clients that they need. Again, the full video walkthrough is linked below if you are curious about exactly how we implemented. But the point of this video is to tell you that only a CEO would have the chutzpah or the courage to break down the limiting beliefs that were keeping me trapped as a coach and be open to build something bigger than me. And this meant having market research calls, listening to the market, and then solving real world problems. And this is what CEOs do. Coaches think they do it by raising consciousness and equipping people with the tools that they need. But we also see that that only gets us so far. And that is not a sustainable business model. So look, if this is a cute hobby for you and you're just like, yeah, I just want to help my friends and whatever comes, I don't need this thing to grow, then this video is not for you. But if you're someone who's like, I want to quit my 9 to 5, I want this to pay me. I want this to build a legacy that I could even leave for my kids. Then we do need to unpack the limiting beliefs that are keeping you in that selfish coaching bubble that I was in too. And you're probably like, well, I'm not being selfish. I'm in debt. I've tried all these things, but you're still thinking about what you want to do. And CEOs, business owners, real entrepreneurs solve real world problems. They see a problem in the world that people will actually pay them for, and they figure out how to solve it. That's what I did as a CEO, having the identity of the CEO, doing that limiting belief work that coaches know how to do, but then also putting my feet on the ground and doing the hard work of learning new skills and building leadership and eventually growing my team to now be able to enjoy consistent 100K months like a real business owner. And so if this is resonating with you and you have some travel coming up, or you're entertaining the idea of going on some podcast or book or speaking tour, then I urge you to go watch our CEO system walkthrough, because it will help you shift your beliefs out of the limiting place that coaches get stuck, burnt out, adrenal fatigue, credit card debt like me. And if you haven't done any of that yet, good. Go watch the video, because you will be able to avoid my 9 years and 75K of bad investments and just start to implement a system that is going to support you when life lifes, when you want to be in the world. But I do need to remind you that consistency is key. And I don't mean consistency like you have to wake up and do this every single day, 9 to 5. All I mean by consistency is you've got to quit quitting. When I traveled the world and when I went on vacation in other Julys, I really just hoped that I would come back to the computer and I could just pick up where I left off. But even now, today, that's more dangerous because technology and the world is moving faster than ever. And so back in 2017, the ad strategy didn't really change too much if I took July off to be with my family. But now the world is changing. And with that, we have even more demand for people like you to figure this out, to get your message to the world, because robots are taking over. And where is the wisdom? Where is the human connection? Where is the emotional intelligence? It's within you, coaches. So please do not keep your toys and your ideas just in your Barbie box and keep throwing spaghetti out on the internet, hoping it's going to change lives. I'm speaking to the type of person who knows deep down inside that they have that sleeping giant within, and that you're meant to be a world changer on this leading edge. And it requires us, and the people that we partner with, see that we cannot keep operating as coaches like we have for the last set of years in this old paradigm. We must step into a CEO identity, solve real world problems, stop being so selfish, care less about alignment and integrity and what I want to do and what my gifts are here today, and start using your gifts and start using this path of alignment to amplify and blaze a trail. You know, one of my friends who's in the business world, she's been watching this evolution, and she said to me, Hannah, she was like, you know, I can see how you have very different problems now, because I'm talking about team. I'm talking about 7 figures in sales. I'm talking about solving world problems instead of, what am I going to post on Instagram today? Are they going to like my webinar? Is the calendar link going to connect to the email sequence? All of those are old problems. And if you've been asking yourself the same question of where is my next client coming from, the new question to ask yourself is, what identity do I need to adapt, and what systems are going to help me actually get this work into the world sustainably? And if you're ready for that, you know what to do. Click the video below, see how our system works, and if it's intriguing and you see how it can help you get to your goals and get your mission out into the world, then maybe we'll have a conversation. But for those of you who are just taking this in and using it as a journal prompt, perfect, start there. But we must, as coaches, open our eyes and start looking around at what the world and the market is asking us to become. For me, it was about becoming a CEO, building something bigger than me, and then bringing it on into the world, taking it onto the road like I always wanted to. But I only was able to make money and do it sustainably with the identity of a CEO and the systems of a real business. I hope this helps you navigate this summer. Cheers to growth.